Hey guys, today we have another update on Battlefront 2, where the game is at, what's happening with Battlefront 2, where it's headed, what EA is doing, and the latest news that just dropped this morning. It was just revealed through an analytics website how many copies of Battlefront 2 have been sold in the past month on Steam, and it's a lot. EA have literally made millions of dollars from this, so we're gonna look at that and think about where Battlefront 3 is, because the game they're not touching and they haven't touched in over 5 years now is literally making them millions of dollars. Also, before we continue, subscribe so we can get to 1 million subs before Battlefront 3. Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Today we also have some more comments from former Battlefront 2 devs that I want to go over. And I also want to talk about where else Battlefront 3 is trending, because I've seen Battlefront 3 mentioned across a bunch of different places now, and the hype continues. Part of the reason I'm making all of these videos is to just keep throwing fuel on the fire. That is Battlefront 2, that is Battlefront 3, raise more awareness about the game, get more people playing the game, and hopefully continue to make noise about the fact we all want and need Battlefront 3. So this morning, an article was shared on the Battlefront 2 and Star Wars subreddits, which goes into detail how many copies Battlefront 2 has sold on Steam in the past month. Just need to say, as a disclaimer, this needs to be taken with a grain of salt. If you click into the Reddit account that posted this to the subreddits, you'll see that they do this all the time and basically just constantly share articles from this one website. So they're basically trying to get traffic to this website and make people see the articles, but that's not to say that part of what's written here isn't true. Because according to Alinea Analytics, in the last month on Steam specifically, Battlefront 2 sold 751,000 copies. Like I said, I'm not sure if we can actually trust that this is the true number of copies sold, but let's say it is, for argument's sake. With the game selling for roughly $4 or $5, depending on where you are in the world, which country you're in, 751,000 copies multiplied by $5 equals, ready? $3,755,000 that Battlefront 2 has generated in revenue. Now, not all of this goes to EA. Usually Steam takes a cut of about 30% to have the game listed on Steam. But I wouldn't be surprised if EA has a special deal with Steam and it's not actually 30%, it's something less, especially considering EA are a major publisher, have a lot of games on Steam, and also Battlefront 2 is a major AAA title. So I'm guessing Steam are maybe only taking somewhere between 20 to 30% of this, still leaving EA with about $3 million that they've earned for basically doing nothing in the past 5 years. They earned roughly $3 million from Battlefront 2 in the past month just by putting it on sale.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Okay, but are these numbers actually true? I know you might be like, hey, how are there 751,000 copies sold, but the play count only peaked at like 35,000? My guess here, not everyone who buys the game plays it. A lot of people just buy it and save it for later just because it's on sale. And also the numbers we see on Steam charts are concurrent players, the amount of players playing at one time within a 24-hour period. So the most amount of players playing on Steam at any one time were 35,000. Now, none of these numbers take into account also the amount of copies that sold on PlayStation, on Xbox, on the Epic Games Store, through the EA app, because Battlefront 2 in the past 2 months was also trending on all of these platforms. It was in the top sellers on PlayStation, on Xbox, meaning that there are also likely hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of copies sold on these platforms. So this rough $3 million that we've come up from doing the math here based on the numbers we have is probably only a small portion of what Battlefront 2 has actually earned EA in the past 2 months. And I believe these Steam numbers are actually only from June. The game is still on sale for another week. I believe the sale ends on 11th of July, so the game is still $5 or less for another week, meaning EA are going to earn a lot more in this next week as well. Battlefront 2 was also on sale on the PlayStation Store about a month ago, and the price of that was roughly $10 to $13, $14. So they were earning even more from the game on PlayStation.
Money!
Not to mention, with the resurgence Battlefront 2 has had in the past 2 months or so, a lot of people were probably also buying the game for full price. Now, I'm really not trying to make this video to be angry at EA, to be like, hey, EA, you're making so much money from Battlefront 2 by doing literally nothing. Why aren't you saying anything publicly? Why aren't you coming out with Battlefront 3? That's not what I'm trying to get at here. I'm just trying to communicate that clearly they know Battlefront 2 is popular right now. I think that's part of the reason for the Steam sale, and the fact it is so cheap is because they wanted to give it another burst cost of life. But all of this, the sales, the amount they're earning from Battlefront 2 in the past few months, only gives them more ammunition to make Battlefront 3. It only proves once again that this is what players want. This is what the market wants. We have a clear market trend. Battlefront 2 is still arguably more popular than ever. The player base has been so consistent over the past few weeks, even though some of the initial hype has died down, and a lot of people are still playing and buying Battlefront 2. Like I said, it actually doesn't really even matter if some of these numbers are wrong. Let's say they haven't sold 751,000 copies. They've still sold a lot. It's in the hundreds of thousands, and they're still earning millions from Battlefront 2. Regardless, even if these numbers are right or wrong, more people are talking about Battlefront 2 and Battlefront 3 because of this being shared, because of this article being made, and because of how much the game is likely earning.
Look at the size of that thing.
Now, another thing I wanted to draw your attention to, Battlefront 3 has been absolutely going off in the EA forums. When you search Battlefront 3 in the EA forums, there are 3,310 results at the time of filming this, and most of these posts, from what I can see, if you scroll down, are all about Battlefront 3. We need Battlefront 3. The thing is, as well, a lot of these posts are from before this resurgence even happened, before the big Battlefront 3 campaign began. A lot of it's just about people sharing their ideas for Battlefront 3, their pitches, and the fact this is on the official EA forums. It's not on Reddit, it's not on Twitter, it's on an EA website, I think is a really solid sign. I don't know how religiously EA checks any of this, or even how far up the food chain at EA this goes, but I'm sure some EA employees are looking at this and seeing all of the demand for Battlefront 3, which again just gets the conversation going within the company, gets the conversation going potentially with Lucasfilm. Now, I know a lot of you also don't necessarily want EA to be the ones to make Battlefront 3. I understand where you're coming from. At this point, I still feel like they are potentially the best ones to do it just because they did Battlefront 1 and 2. They have all the assets. They have, I don't know, the studio to do it, even though a lot of the developers don't necessarily even work at DICE or EA anymore who worked on Battlefront 2. And I have made another video talking about what potential other studios could make Battlefront 3 instead of an EA studio. But at this point in time, because Battlefront 2 is an EA game, because they made the other two, it feels like they're the most relevant ones to be bringing up this discussion with, and considering they also still have a relationship with Disney as they're making other Star Wars games, such as the Third Jedi game and Star Wars Zero Company, the upcoming strategy game. I also found this Reddit post from 4 years ago that I think is really interesting. To this day, I'm still not over the ridiculously out-of-touch decision EA made to cut Battlefront 2 support right after the Scarif update, right at the height of lifespan. Never forget what we could have had, never forget what they took from us. And as painful as it was that they cancelled the game, I think the top comment on this post explains EA's decision to cut support. I'm pretty sure the problem was that the game was not making much money. The player base skyrocketed because it became free on PlayStation Plus and Epic Games. That was back in 2021. The Celebration Edition literally unlocks most cosmetics, so they'd gain no more additional money after that. Most people just grind their way to getting skins too. Love it or hate it, the game was built to be sustained by loot boxes. I still think, and I know a lot of you will agree, that Battlefront 2 never truly recovered from the awful launch it had, from the loot box controversy, and from everything that went wrong around launch. The bad press, the sense of pride and accomplishment comment. There's been so much that has led to Battlefront 2's resurgence, and part of the reason the game needs a resurgence is because of the awful launch it had, and because it was cancelled only 3 or so years later. But now, once again, Battlefront 2 is making money because they're just selling the game at a discounted rate. They're making millions, even though there are no loot boxes in the game, even though there are no microtransactions. A lot of people just want to play Battlefront 2. It's as simple as that. And if they want to play Battlefront 2, I'm sure they also want to play Battlefront 3. Now, I also just found some comments from a month or so ago that I must have missed from a former Battlefront 2 developer. These come from former game designer and design director Manuel Yanez, and it turns out he is the reason Ewok Hunt is in the game. He is the reason for the nightmares, the horrors, the pain I've been through playing that game mode. No! No! But he also had another idea he wanted to add to Battlefront 2, another hunt-style game mode. He said, "I still dream of making Jawa's hunt on Tatooine. Imagine waking up as a droid in a creepy junkyard and having to escape or execute a revenge protocol against those hooded pests." It'd be really cool if Battlefront 2 ended up getting a more evolved hunt mode, similar to the original Battlefront 2, where different factions fought against one another. It wasn't just Ewoks versus Stormtroopers. You had, for example, Gungans versus Super Battle Droids. You had Wampers versus Rebels. Jawas. And in his idea, you had droids versus Jawas. Maybe one day, maybe with Battlefront 3. No, please, save me! I don't know where they are! Ah! But until that day comes, keep talking about Battlefront 3, keep playing Battlefront 2, keep sharing Battlefront 3 everywhere. Please continue to come and write it on all of my Instagram posts, on my Twitter account, literally everywhere. Do not stop until we get Battlefront 3. I certainly won't. I hope to see you on the Battlefront soon. I'm likely going to be streaming this weekend. I wanted to film some footage for some upcoming videos and thought I may as well just do it while I'm streaming. So if you want to join the streams, if you want to continue to build the Battlefront 2 hype train, then come and hang out in the stream, watch this video for more Battlefront, and thanks for watching. Always remember,
stay bombastic.